So welcome everyone to this evening conversation with Mazes. Okay. As usual, I would want to know where you are watching me from, especially those of you on YouTube. So, I haven't done a Friday hangout for a very long time because of obvious reasons. Always been busy. But here am I doing a Friday hangout. And as the topic suggests, we are going to be looking at something that has been playing out. Many of us have these, I wouldn't say gift, but we are able to spot when narrations begin to change. When things that are not meant for begin to change, we have the ability to spot them and begin to speak about them before they get out of hand. Every one of us know that we have seen in the last couple of days or weeks, month, where the killer herdsmen, where people have said, no, enough is enough with these killer herdsmen. We now no longer want you in our forests. And that's it. And that is the way it should be. But rather than get to the point where we agree that these killer herdsmen should be routed out of the bushes and, taken care of. But here we are, selling a narrative that the Southerners, that is the Igbos and the Yorubas, are sending the Fulanis away from their place of residence, which is a change of narrative. You remember, many of you who pay attention enough should remember during the time of EndSARS. EndSARS was a protest by all disgruntled, abused, but brutalized youth of this nation who suddenly said enough is enough, that they wanted the SARS scrapped. They wanted, the whole thing stopped. But in the midst of that, my brother made a broadcast. And obviously, the incident has already happened in Lagos, has happened. But suddenly the whole nation, before, according to Zebediah, before our own very before, the whole nation, the whole narrative wanted to change. And as if everybody is now saying, oh, it is the fault of the Igbos. The Igbos, this, the other. I'm like, Jesus Christ. In our own very eye, the narration is beginning to change. This evening, I want to show us what I mean when the narration is changing. Let me quickly show us what I mean when when I said that narration is about to change and is changing quickly. Hence the reason people like me who always pay attention to these little details need to begin to speak about them before it escalates. Listen to this.
I will tell you something that I told my colleagues about the herders and farmers clashes in Nigeria. You have seen what our colleagues in the southwest are doing, and some of them from the southeast. Some of us told them with all modesty and humility, you are wrong. But the person that is most wrong is the governor of Benue State, my brother and my colleague, Governor Otto. He started all this. If you don't accommodate other tribes, we are also accommodating your tribes in Bauchi and other places.
I'll stop him here. Now, he is talking about tribe accommodation. Please, I want you to pay clear attention here. He is talking, this is Lai Mohammed, the governor of Bauchi, the former FCT minister, We knew how he governed or, administered FCT. That's not the discussion for today. But here is he now telling us of how they are being, or rather how they allow our siblings to also live in their places. I'll get into the analysis. Just be patient.
We have so many people working in farming in Al-Kaleri, farming in Tafawa Balewa, farming in Bogoro. Has anybody told them to go? We have not, because it's their own inalienable right to be there. We have Yoruba people in Bauchi for over 150 years, even before the birth of Nigeria. Nobody has talking to them. Some of them have risen to become permanent secretaries in Gombe, in Bauchi, and in Borno. And now, because a Fulani man is practicing the tradition of transhumance, pastoralism, he has been exposed to the vagaries of the forest, the animals, and now the cattle rustlers who carry guns, kill him and take away his commonwealth, that is the cows. He had no option but to carry AK-47 because the society and the government are not protecting him. What is his fault? It's the fault of the government and the people.
Now pay attention. He said, I agree with him without conceding to his argument. The Fulanis are threatened, but he is part of government. He is part of the ruling class. Rather than accept that this is entirely the failure of the ruling class, this is entirely the failure of him and his ill. He now wants to move the blame now to justify why the Fulanese would carry AK-47, not double barrel guns, not single barrel guns, not shotguns, not even pump actions, but automatic weapon that is capable of killing 100 people in 2 minutes. Okay, so let's begin to situate and understand his argument. I'll come to the details later. Can we go ahead?
Don't criminalize all of them, because in every tribe there are criminals.
Now he's saying, do not criminalize all of them. I do not think for 1 second that anyone within his right senses criminalizes the Fulani as a tribe. I do not think that is the case, Mr. Governor Lai Mohammed.
If cybercrime is being practiced mostly by one tribe, you don't criminalize the whole tribe that they are criminals.
Of course, we know that cybercrime has his headquarters somewhere in the Midwest. I know I will probably start another war by this statement, but hey, we know that without mincing word, we know that Edo and Lagos and maybe some states in Southeast have the capital and headquarters of cybercrime. Of course, we do not ask you not to go after the cyber criminals. When you arrest the cyber criminals, we do not see state authorities, those elected in government, standing up for them, defending them. All we ask you is, if someone in Benin, in Lagos, in Imo, in Enugu, in Kogi, engages in cybercrime, please, and please again, deal with that individual according to the law. Juxtapose that to what people are saying on the herdsmen. People are saying someone invades your farm, takes your crops, eats them up, takes your yam, cuts them for the cows. Your aged mothers, sisters, when you look at it this way, last night I was discussing with one professor who was explaining to me how this rape happens. He said, listen, that there must be a change to this, because when a man stays in a forest for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I hear that they sleep with their animals. I do not know. I haven't, I don't have any evidence to that. But when a man stays without, a grown adult stays with 5 months, 6 months without having any, how do I put that mildly, without being censored, without having any interaction, sexually with a woman. And by the virtue of the fact that you are not living within the community normally. So when you approach a woman, even if those that take money, one, because they might consider that you're not too clean, there might be other factors, and they will say no. Therefore, that pushes them to engage in this. Then I say, I don't bloody care. Sorry, but honestly, I don't care if you have not seen a woman for the past 12 years. But any sexual cohabitation without consent is rape. And that's what has been happening. So there is no two ways about this, people. Okay. So on that note, so let me quickly finish what he's saying.
We should be very sensitive. I'm happy with what the chairman has said. We have to be careful. And you, as journalists, you must exercise restraint. You must decipher from wrong and right. Something that is so bad that can divide us, that can threaten our unity, our hegemony. You don't do it. I must thank our chairman of the Northern Governors Forum at this occasion, because we are talking of the use of media to promote peace and unity in Nigeria. I think he is a hero in that field. Governor Lalong, with his diverse background, with his minority background, he is leading the Northern governors with focus, with a lot of sense. You, the media, you must make sure you single out such heroes for promotion, not those people that will speak from Ekiti or from Ondo, that Fulani should leave their forests. Nobody owns any forest. The forest is owned by Nigeria. Under Section 23, 24, 25 of the Constitution, every Nigerian is free to stay anywhere.
Did you hear that? Nobody owns the forest. Nobody owns the forest. I hear something like this. I tell myself, this problem that we are in now, the solution is not in sight. As long as someone still has, in the 21st century, saying that no one owns the forest, then I ask myself, I don't know about his own Bauchi, but I take my state of Anambra, for instance. There is no single inch of land that is not owned. There is no forest. There is no single inch of land that is not owned by individuals or by families. Therefore, there is nothing like forest. Those are communal lands. Those are farmlands. So you cannot invade these farmlands, eat up the crops, and come back and say, who owns this land? That people do not own forests. Of course, people own forests. People own this land. So if you want, actually go and have your own land where you can do whatever you want to do. The other day, I showed us in this channel where Niger State, for instance, has about 76,000 square kilometers, right? And where the entire Southeast is barely 29,000. And Oyo as a state is about 28,000. So Oyo is close to the whole entire Southeast. And Kogi is about 29,000 kilometers, which is only Kogi state is the entire Southeast. Now, if Enugu state that is 7.1 thousand kilometers, right, square, and Niger is about 76, meaning that Enugu state is about 9% of the entire Niger. So can they bring out a land that is equivalent of Enugu state and turn it into ranching? How many kilometers square mile is the Zambisa forest that we'll talk about? Can't we irrigate it and begin to use it to farm? You see, my problem here is Lai Mohammed talks about those rustling cows as a result of cow rustling. That's the reason why they allow them to take AK-47. Now the question is, who rustled these cows? Are these cows being rustled by the people of Edo? Or are they being rustled by the people of Enugu, Abia State? Or are they being rustled by the people of Oyo? So who are those rustling the cows? Who are those that understand the business that can come and rustle 100, 200 cows and vamoose? Again, giving them ammunition is not the solution to the issue. I don't know why we like beating about the bush. The solution is, for Christ's sake, you have the land, use your brain, the brains are not made of sawdust. The brains are made of, anyone that has gray matters in between the skulls. Use the brain and convert this vast land into a productive land. I mean, in the 21st century, we are here discussing about people moving cows from one point A to point B. Come on, this is an insult to the sensibility of everyone. Anyway, so in his conclusion here, listen.
And let me tell you, nobody had the freedom of matriculations or speaking anyhow. Anybody can speak anyhow, but we are exercising restraint.
Okay, so that's from Channels TV, right? Okay, so now we have looked at that. You can see what he said, and he blamed Governor Autumn. Question is, what did Governor Autumn do? What did he do? Because I kept basically asking that question. What did Governor Autumn do? Let me go look for his video, because I want the facts to speak, not my own statement, but that statement from those who are the actors. And there was this brilliant interview conducted by Sheun Okimbalo, yeah? And that interview was with, what's it called again? That interview was with the dollar-loving governor, Ganduje, aka Gandola, right? So let me quickly get Governor Autumn to speak again, and you see where he's angst. So because what I'm trying to do here is to do content analysis. So do we actually analyze these things and understand who amongst us is taking us for a ride? Okay.
The president, as our leader, is not doing well. That is why I'm calling on him to step up his action and act faster than the way it's being done.
So now, for a start, Governor Autumn started by saying and putting the blame where the blame squarely lies. He says that the president is not doing well. I mean, and that's what it is. Anyone who has any commonsensical knowledge on how things work, we will know that the president is not doing right. Because you cannot have this conflict happening in a place and in a space that you govern, aka that you are the president. and you are not saying anything, and you are not, basically saying the things that people expect you to do. So I want us to watch this and understand how come the Lai Mohammed is angry with what Autumn here said.
Right now, declare state of emergency on security so that all resources and all strength will be channeled towards ensuring that we have security for lives and property in this country. Because for now, everything is in disarray. And without security, there can be no meaningful development. And so the presidency is not doing well. That is why I had to write to him. That is why I have to open up and publicly declare that the president must come out and take steps that will redeem his image. President Buhari served this country as a military head of state. And Nigerians appreciated him for who he was. And that was why overwhelmingly he was voted into power in 2015. But honestly, what is happening now, the body language shows clearly that it's not the president who is supposed to be the president of everybody, but for nobody. It is clear to me that the president is the president who is the president for everybody and for some people. So this is the challenge I have. But when you talk about these things, I saw some sponsored media outings that talk about performance of Otom. I'm doing well, just like any other governor in this country. And I'm working with my people. My people appreciate me. In terms of infrastructure, go to Benue, you see it. Since I left APC, I've been a performing governor. Go there and see. I've been a performing governor.
Anyway, that's more or less a political. That's more or less a political statement. But the meat of the matter here is that Lai Mohammed is not happy, that this guy squarely blamed the president. This guy squarely called them out. This guy, he didn't only stop at making and speaking against these things, he wrote them. He wrote the president. And probably that one, made them go gaga to basically say, who is this guy to be doing all these things? But again, when you seek peace, because in my estimation, every single thing he has done is basically to seek peace. Everything he has done is to seek peace. But again, there is one man I call the Mmarandi, the only senator that most times, if not every time, says it the way he sees it. He, when Lai Mohammed, after making that statement, he basically stood up in the Senate and said, exactly what I am thinking. You're getting it wrong. Let me not overflog the issue. Let me bring him in. Where is my senator and a good friend, Njenje Abaribe, Senator Njenje Abaribe? I want you to address what Lai Mohammed said. Please go ahead and address.
Ordinarily, I didn't want to say anything until I heard certain things on this floor, and I felt that we needed to clear that. I'm an Igbo man, and our people say that when the traditional healer is making medicine for the eye, that he shouldn't find pepper nearby. Because any
what he's trying to say here is what we call ndichie. We call it ana agwonsio daanya aretinyo ibaka. When you prepare the medicine for the eyes, you don't put pepper in an eye drop medication. That's what it means.
Pepper that goes into the eye means that medicine will not work. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to talk specifically on the matter of whether people were being sent away. No Nigerian is being sent away from anywhere. Criminals are being sent away from the forest. Specifically on
I hope you understood what Abaribe just said now. No Nigerian is being sent out away from their homes. Full stop. New statement, or rather new sentence. Criminals are being sent away from the forest. Abaribe, please make that statement.
Whether people were being sent away. No Nigerian is being sent away from anywhere. Criminals are being sent away from the forest where they are. And so, when we now come here and say, some people, after doing this thing and they're sending people away, you send the wrong message out. The message is simple.
You see, the reason why I said we catch up this thing, some of us, if you pay attention, you know when issues are beginning to go the deviant way and as a build-up for something to happen. My analysis is, there is, in my estimation, there is something sinister that is about to build up. We saw El-Rufai the other time give a press conference saying that people should be very careful on what they do to people, how they tell people to move. Again, let me reinforce what my senator, Naya Abaribe, very rarely to call a politician a friend. I will say it anytime, anywhere, he is indeed a friend. A man who stood up and said, nobody, be it in the Southwest, be it in the Southeast, be it in the Middle Belt, is sending anybody away. The people are saying they no longer want criminals in their forest. Is that too? I don't understand. Is that too much to understand? The people are saying, we are fed up. We do not want criminals in our forests. So the people are saying, we do not want criminals. We have not seen where a Fulani man or an Hausa man or a Nupe man, a Kenuri man who sells things. The other day, actually, I can play the video. When the people they call Buja are cutting nails, doing manicures or pedicures, whatever you want to call it. People sell and they do. Many of us many of us have employees who are also from northern Nigeria. No one is telling you go away, but the people are saying you are committing crimes in our forest. We don't want. And then let me play this scenario for us. If I come to Kaduna and I go to a market where they sell drugs, let's take that the people that sell drugs or medicine in this market are Igbos. And there are reports that these people sell fake drugs. And after taking these drugs, people die. Now tell me, it is the duty of government to ensure, now it is not about ethnic profiling. It is the duty of government to make sure that this market in Kano, where people are complaining that fake drugs are being sold, should be raided, should be, the government must do something in order to stop this from happening. So the government must, first of all, ignoring whatever tribe that sells that drug and deal with the crime. What then happens is, if after crying many months, years, people are crying, protesting, closing shop, going on the street, the government keep deaf ear. Sadly, when the people will take on to say we no longer want those selling fake drugs here in this market in Kano, because majority of you selling these fake drugs are Igbo. Sadly, because of the failure of government, Now, it might be that in a bid for the people to take actions to stop the fake drug dealers, it could be, I'm not saying that that is the case, but it could be that those classified and certified that went to university and studied pharmacy and have the certifications, it could be that in the process that their wares, their shops might be touched. But again, it is a problem that is solvable if ab initio the government had taken action to stop this madness of fake drug. When I look at, I take another Amazon from Anambra State, late Dora Akunyalu, may her soul rest in peace. When she started, she never cared if she was from Anambra State, if she was Igbo. Listen, she went to Headbridge Onitsha, where, where fake drugs have been sold. People are dying. She didn't care. That's where she started. So if a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is Igbo, used her own people to set examples of what and how standards should be, that is the way things should be done if you want to make progress as a nation. She didn't start her work in Kano. She didn't start by blaming anyone. She went to work. Now tell me, what is the Minister of Interior doing? People are complaining that Interior, we're not even, and the analysis hasn't come to the external ones, because we will get there. We're talking about if people that you can say they are Nigerians, granted, that's what you are, by what Lai Mohammed is insinuating, let's argue that they are from Sokoto and they somehow found themselves in Oyo, in Kwara, in Delta, and you have gone into the farm and you are destroying this farm, granted, and people are crying. What is it that the Minister of Interior, this is your remit, what is it that you have done? What is it that those that have the ministry to defend you, what are they doing? And then I'll ask, who is the one that is in charge of policing? Make sure that internal police, there is no breakdown of law and order internally. Where are you? Where are you? You listen to these things, you ask yourself, people, are we making sense at all? So if you go by my analogy of fake drug, if that is being sold by certain people in Kano, rather than deal with it, and you don't deal with it, one day you wake up after a Friday prayer, the people fed up and they took actions. While you blame the people maybe for excessiveness, blame also the government for failure. You do not only, blame the nose for hearing the smell of the fat. You first of all blame the orifice that released the gas. Can you tweet that one out? That one is special from Moses. Okay. Somebody tweet it out. That one is a special one from Moses. Anyway, on a serious note here, I would come back. Now, let me quickly show us this so that we understand what is playing out again here. Okay, hold on. Quickly, I would go and bring Ganduje, so AKA Gandola, so that we'll listen to him.
Arrest parents who do not.
Okay, so how do we, or rather, if I put it this way, how do we even get to the point where herdsmen begin to terrorize us? And how do we want, how is it suddenly that this narrative is going to be changed? Okay, so let me quickly bring Gandola here. And Ganduje will quickly tell us what he thinks. Ganduje, please, over to you.
Are criminals.
Only very few of them are criminals. But since they are also herders, then sometimes you find it very difficult to separate. But most importantly is the economic empowerment of the Fulanis, of the herdsmen. They need a system that will improve
Ordinarily, I didn't want
animal
to say
husbandry that
anything
they are
until I
practicing.
heard certain things on
I
this.
think that is also an issue that people don't even talk about. We're only talking about the security.
So please, everyone watching me, can you do me a favor? Like this video. Can you share this video with others? So that, you know, it's always good when you watch these videos, you share them with others. Like this video, let the likes, you know, come in. This is once more Mazes, okay, and this is Njenje Media TV. I am giving you this evening an analysis on why, you know, rather the title says criminal headsmen or Fulani being chased out of our forests, because there is a narrative, a shift in narrative where people are saying that Fulanis are being chased out of the southern Nigeria. That is wrong. There are videos I saw yesterday in Edo State. That was horrific. I couldn't share that video with anyone. I couldn't play that video. I can't even play them here. But all I can say is that please, people, we should calm down. We should really put on our thinking caps. Now, let me go back to Ganduje so that we can see his own line of thinking.
But we're not talking about their economic improvement of their life, which is also creating, security challenges.
But how do you separate the criminal Fulani herdsmen from the non-criminals?
Well,
it's a painful but isn't it?
If we have data, with technology, it's easier to do that. First of all, we make sure that all the herdsmen, like other Nigerians, are being forced to have national identification, which tells a lot of what they are, their picture, their everything. And also using technology with communication, once you get some few criminals out of them, you can get a lot of information from there. You can get the people that they are communicating with. You see, but when business is as usual, how do we move forward? Now, those who are saying banning trekking with cattle from north to the south is affecting human rights, they have not told us a solution. Then what is the solution?
For you, Governor Ganduje, that is the solution.
Yeah, what is the solution? Because education here in Kano is free. Education is compulsory, from primary to secondary. Then how do you allow children to be following cows?
So do you arrest parents?
The whole issue of nomadic education has failed because education is not like that, where you can trap them in one place, teach them, and then they continue. So the teacher will continue following them. I don't think that is.
Do you?
You watch Ganduje speak. You know, I have mixed feelings here. At times you watch him, I want to read his body language. I want to read he could appear to be sincere. I doubt. Why I say I doubt is, remember, he was one of those that called for, when these things started, he was one of those that said, come to Kanu, I will give you free land for ranching. But no one took him up to that challenge. Now, he is from Kanu, and he is the governor of Kanu State. Question that I would then ask is, what is it that he is doing? What is it that he is doing? What is it that he is, or rather, what is it that he has done? This is the 6th year. By May 29th, he would officially clock 6 years. So he's basically 5 years and 10 months or 9 months in office, barely 6 years. And this issue of headers, farmers, header clashes, herdsmen, and, whether you put the prefix Fulani or you remove the prefix Fulani, it's irrelevant. Herdsmen crisis, because that's what it is. It is a crisis. I would have wanted to see in all his narrations where he would say, we have built 10 kilometers of ranches. We have done XYZ, or we have done this, or we have done the other. But let me explore his thinking more.
The farming community say the herders or the Fulanis are the ones who are harboring these killer herders, these criminals and the bandits. How do you react to that?
Well, it's not all jihadists that are criminals. Only very few of them are criminals.
That's where I know many of you watching would disagree, but that's where I agree with him. Not all headers, because now we need to make distinctions. One, we need to distinct between the Fulanis. Two, we need to distinguish between the headers and the criminal. I call them the criminal headers, because these are headers that have nothing else, the intention to commit crime. In what he says here, not all headers are criminals. Many of us growing up, I remember the time if I go to Eke, on our way between Eke in Enugu State and 9th Mile, you will see headers walking with stick. And they are the ones that sell grass cutters, Njenje, to us. We never saw them with guns. The highest you can see them is the bow, what they call in Igbo, Ebuawusa or Otawusa. That's what they had. So, and these people settled within communities there. In a farming community, actually, there was a symbiotic relationship. Some people wanted them, when fertilizer was not readily available, wanted them to use their cows, graze the farm. When you go when you finish harvesting your cassava, the stems, these are what the cattle feed on. Where the things you have removed, the remnants, they feed on them, but not to feed on the cassava, the real cassava that you're going to use in making your gari, the one that you're going to use in making your apple, or, but not to feed on them. Suddenly, it appears that there is this criminal element. And to tell me that the solution to that is to give these criminal elements AK-47, which they now use in kidnapping, that is no solution, my people. That is no solution.
But
Ganduje, continue.
Since they are also herders, then sometimes you find it very difficult to separate. But most importantly is the economic empowerment of the Fulanis, of the herdsmen. They need a system that will improve the animal husbandry that they are practicing. I think that is also an issue that people don't even talk about. We're only talking about the security, but we're not talking about their economic improvement of their life, which is also creating, security challenges.
But how do you separate the criminal Fulani herdsmen from the non-criminals?
Well,
it's a painful one, but isn't it?
If we have data,
again, sometimes, you know, the failure of leadership in Nigeria makes your head just too hot. Here we are. The reason why this is taking a dimension, people talk about the Fulani herdsmen killing people, is because this was not nipped in the bud ab initio. Tell me, all of us were here when Evans was caught in Lagos. In his confessional statement, he said that he left Anambra because then under Peter Obi, that the state was so hot for him, they moved down to Lagos. Even when most of his victims were Igbos, people, you remember the richest one that he was collecting $1 million, $1 million, a kidnapper. When he was caught, I did not know of one single Igbo person who stood for him. I did not know of one single Igbo person who said, oh, he could be a victim of circumstances. Everybody I know, including myself, condemned and wanted the maximum punishment to be meted on him. That is a way a people wiggle themselves out of collective punishment. Imagine for 1 second that there was this conversation on national TV. You know, the reason why this person could have been this is because XYZ, you're trying to justify it. Everybody will be looking at you. Something like that repeats again. It repeats again. It repeats again. Rather than nipping it in the bud, you are making excuses for them. That's when people now say, this is an ethnic thing. You see where it's coming from. However, I go back and I say, I agree with you that not all Fulanis are criminals. Not all headers, again, because we need to make the distinction again, headers, or rather, and I prefer to say killer herdsmen, rather than to attach ethnicity to it, because herdsmen abound. We have Yoruba herdsmen, we have Igbo herdsmen, we have, Middle Belt or Kenuri, whatever herdsmen. But I do not care if it's a Yoruba herdsman or herdswoman, herdsperson that is ravaging their farm. Deal with that person. That's all the farmer is asking for. You know, I've said in this channel, it hurts me and it makes us look unintelligent when we say farmer headers crisis. There is nothing like farmer header crisis. It's nonsense. There is nothing like farmer headers crisis. What you have is header invasion of farmland. Farmer controls land that is static. It does not move. It plants yam, plants cocoa, it plants plantain, it plants everything. They don't move. You use your freaking cow. I mean, so, honestly, countries like Rwanda are discussing robots. What should we be talking about now? How do we move forward? Robotics. Here we are discussing cow. Cow that does not even give milk. Cow that does not give cheese. Only protein. We are killing everybody just because of red meat. What? Man, sometimes I tire for we, self.
If we have data with technology, it's easier to do that. First of all, we make sure that all the herdsmen, like other Nigerians, are being forced to have national identification, which tells a lot of what they are, their picture, their everything. And also using technology with communication, once you get some few criminals out of them, you can get a lot of information from there. You can get the people that they are communicating with. You see, but when business is as usual, how do we move forward? Now, those who are saying banning trekking with cattle from north to the south is affecting human rights, they have not told us a solution. Then what is the solution?
Well, you see, I think it is disingenuous to think and begin to argue that trekking, banning you from trekking is is against your human right. Listen, people, you have the right to trek. You have the right to cycle, but you cannot use your cycle. Those of you in Europe, you can't use your bicycle and go into the Autobahn. Not even on a double, you can't use your bicycle and go into a highway, talk less of an Autobahn. Those of you in the United Kingdom watching, yes, you can cycle in, you can cycle up, but you cannot use your motorcycle and go to the M1, M4, M25, M10, M7, M whatever. You can't, because there is limit. You can, when you have ranch, you can move around the ranch, you can do whatever you want, but you can't interstate. I mean, in 21st century, for Christ's sake, what are we talking about? And here, I agree with him. It's a dilemma. You see, the thing is, it's not entirely as easy as some of us might want to make it. Okay. In one point, everyone is so confused. What shall we do? What shall we do? And no one knows what to do. Let me say again, because honestly, when I took my time to watch him, and I can see he made some salient points, but the challenge is, these people, they make this point, but the sincerity in trying to implement whatever they say is where all these things falls apart. The sincerity in trying to, resolve or make these things is where these things falls apart, honestly. Let me quickly play this part.
What of those who debate that the Fulanis are nomadic in nature, and that is the reason why they cannot stay in one place? They need to move around. Is the nature? Does that argument sit down with you?
No, you see, they are nomadic Fulani.
Please, can you like the video, share the video, and let us basically like the video and share the video, please. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, kindly do so. I appeal to you. Thank you very much for doing so. And for just to remind you, we still have the super chat. The super chat is ongoing. I don't think anyone has used it today. Thank you. So let me repeat this question by Seun Okwimbaloye once more.
What of those who debate that the Fulanis are nomadic in nature, and that is the reason why they cannot stay in one place? They need to move around. Is the nature? Does that argument sit down with you?
No, you see, they are nomadic Fulani and they are settled Fulani. We are the settled Fulani, but to change from nomadism to settled Fulani is not a big deal. All what he requires is for you to settle in one place. Those who are, fighting what we are saying, I would like to see their children following cows from north to the south, trekking.
That is it. That is the man that has the solution. You see, he says it clearly here. Let me repeat. He does not see any difficulty in migrating from a Fulani who is in the forest to a Fulani who is settled in the cities, contributes to the economy, pay taxes, live with people. That's all the people are asking. No one is asking you to leave the forest of Oyo. Just like that, people are saying, please, can you move away from the forest, come to the town and live with us? We love you. We want to stay with you. In 1964 or thereabout, a Fulani man was a mayor in Enugu. We don't hate you. We are Nigerians. At some point, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe had, even under a Fulani president, late Dumegu Ojukwu, was granted pardon under a Fulani government. He came down and he became part of the system. So this thing that you're trying to turn into a hatred, an ethnic hatred, is not, and that's now I'm addressing the governor of Bauchi State, Lai Mohammed, and El-Rufai. You are trying to turn this into an ethnic, sentimental war. What did Southerners and what we are demanding, what Mazes, okay, and in the media TV, what we are demanding is to deal with the issue. And what is the issue? The issue is very simple. Deal with the criminals. The people are saying, deal with the cows the way people deal with cows all over the world. Do not use the cow to cause commotion. Do not use the cow to litter the street. Do not use the cow when, the people that rear the cows and leave the cows in the forest. Use the guns that you are arguing that they should be carrying. Use them to kidnap. Use it to force women, to rape them. I mean, this is unacceptable in 21st century. I mean, this is not too much to ask, right? This is not too much to ask. And on another, plank, while all this argument is going on, you have Mr. Abaribe on one hand, talking about how he is richer than his state. I say, look at the statement made by Abaribe is what we expect any Southerner to be re-echoing. But instead of that, we have people, I don't know, I no longer call them leaders, who stand up and say things that you might want to think, hey, how did we get to this point? I hope I won't translate for some, but if I have to, this is what your former governor said.
We have party chairman, and all of you should come up. I can't go. Even as a government, I can't go today. We don't know what that shall party. One for get rule over 3 billion. On I get 3 billion in 3 years. It's not gonna go, but when people don't go, I can make the same with it. We have from now. They're going to wear billions of naira. I want my chef here. But in a man, like he man, like one more. I see my check.
Okay. You see, in the midst of this national conversation where everyone is agitated, no one knows what is happening. The forests are being taken over in the south, and the people are fighting back, and it's getting bloodier, which in actual sense should worry any right-thinking person, because you see a people that have been peaceful, a peaceful people, suddenly they begin to fight those that they consider invaders. The question is, what is the solution? It is glad to note that having analyzed, and in my conclusion on this part, I will say, please, every Fulani watching me, the South is not saying that the Fulanis must vacate the South. No, that's far from it. It is disingenuous to insinuate that. What the South is saying is very simple. Vacate their forest with criminals. The criminals in the forest, be them Southern herdsmen, Northern herdsmen, is irrelevant, it's immaterial. The people are saying the herdsmen, the criminal herdsmen, must vacate their forest. Simple. And I'm happy that the Northern Governors Forum and the generic Governors Forum are now meeting, and they have come to a resolution that trekking of cows should be a thing of the past. Beyond rhetorics, beyond talking it, The challenge we have is that this government has not taken anything serious. Nothing. The only thing this government has ever taken serious was the invasion of Lekki Toll Gate, which people were calling for. I think there's supposed to be another protest tomorrow, and they are just everywhere, just threatening everyone like as if there's going to be a war tomorrow. But even El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, has changed his stand because he suddenly started saying, oh, no one should actually negotiate with those herdsmen or those bandits or whatever. But the same governor, a couple of years back, actually negotiated and paid the herdsmen. Listen to
and yes, we offered them money. We said, look, if we have to pay you not to kill our people, we're happy to do it.
Is that the only solution that you're adopting, to pay them to stop the killing?
That is the only solution we can see. If anyone has a better solution, you should give us. If you have somebody in Guinea that you cannot prove is responsible for this, but you say, look, we apologize, this has happened. But it didn't happen in my time. Okay, I'm the governor now, this has happened. We apologize that you are caught up in our domestic issues. Have you lost cattle? We can pay. Have you lost lives? We can pay compensation. Compensation for lives and property has foundations even in the Quran and the Bible.
Yeah, but this is what he said then, but suddenly now, he's now saying there should not be any negotiation, which I actually buy into. You know, even if you want to negotiate, you negotiate from a point of strength, where you can dictate, right? There should not be negotiation with criminals. That's what it is. So, and you keep wondering, what is then going on? For those of you, and in conclusion on this part, I will say, I have to bring back the senator with Madia's touch, so that I ask him once more to tell us what is happening.
Ordinarily, I didn't want to say anything until I heard certain things on this floor, and I felt that we needed to clear that. I'm an Igbo man, and our people say that when the traditional healer is making medicine for the eye, that he shouldn't find pepper nearby. Because any pepper that goes into the eye means that that medicine will not work. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to talk specifically on the matter of whether people were being sent away. No Nigerian is being sent away from anywhere. Criminals are being sent away from the forest where they are. And so, when we now come here and say, some people, after doing this and they're sending people away, you send the wrong message out. The message is simple.
Okay, so no criminal, no individual, no Nigerian citizen, and that is the message this evening. The final takeaway from every one of us here must be that no Nigerian is being sent out from the city of Oyo, or that Oyo state is sending people out, or that Edo people are sending Fulanis out. It is a lie. It is a fabrication. That is not the clear picture. What is happening is that the people are saying that they are fed up of those people occupying. It's not too much to ask. They say they are fed up. Those people occupying their forests. They no longer want them there. Is it too much to ask? I don't know. Too much. Now, the solution and the final solution is you must ranch. You cannot run away from this. It is a private business. I have made propositions here. The easiest way to loot money, steal money, and put your money not in the bank, no BVN will find you, nothing, is going to be cow. You can hide $500 million. You can hide 1 trillion naira in cows, and no one will know. They will be moving around. You don't pay any, no, it's not linked into any BVN. What is the revenue generation from this cow that will, cow every day? Go to the wharf. We know how much Nigeria generates from the wharf. Imagine that the containers are dropping every minute, even now that they are still dropping, but consider that containers are causing so much havoc. Would the conversation be the same? Wouldn't we have found a solution to it? I listened to Senator Ifeanyi Uba once saying, making propositions in the Senate, how he can help to stop when tankers fall. Tankers fall in Germany, fall in America, fall in anywhere, in serious countries, but their contents don't spill. So what it is that when tankers fall here, they spill their content, is because of poor regulations. Now, just suppose that too, that containers, or rather tankers or big truckers carrying inflammables, just suppose that too, people moving with cows. What we need is solution without ethnic identity. The criminals must be dealt with. Now, my proposition, this is Mazezoke's suggestion here. If the North, if the Fulanis who are in control and who are in power, if you have any iota of seriousness and that you want to solve this problem, the solution is very simple. Very, very simple. You know your people. Evacuate your people from the forest. Evacuate your people from the forest. Create emergency ranches. Ask the people now if all your brothers and sisters are back in Bonu, Kebbi, Yobe, Kaduna, Bauchi, blah, blah, blah. If any other person we see in the forest in Enugu, in Oyo, in Akwa Ibom, in Oka, in Ihiala, that person is a criminal. It's a simple solution. If, with a caveat, if you have any iota of intention to make it work, then that is a solution. Evacuate the people. When I evacuate my people, I have already sent a signal and a message to someone who came from Senegal, someone who came from Niger, someone who came from Chad, someone who came from Guinea. This dance, it has turned from a willow. Now it is Phil Collins. It's what we call blues. The tempo has to change. Or that you can say, this thing has changed from Atilogu to Mbadike dance, where you show muzzle, right? But you cannot be treating this with kid glove. And you see, listen, I can't blame. My problem is, I can't say this enough. I can't blame this government enough, because that we are getting to this critical point that citizens have seen nothing but to take laws into their hands. It's a total failure of governance, total catastrophic failure of governance, especially the failure of federal government, because federal government has failed. When a man, I can't remember his name again, if anybody can remind me on the chat section, this man from the Netherlands, is from Bini, Edo State. He said he came, I think he normally gives, about a year or two ago, he normally gives lectures on Facebook on how to make plantation. So hectares of plantain, hectares of plantain, hectares that ran into millions. This guy came down from the Netherlands, went into plantain farming, and this stupid and silly killer herdsman went into his farm. He complained. He went to I think the DPO or whatever. And what happened? Rather than arrest those who came to your farm, threatened to kill you if you intervene, they arrested him. I mean, you think it's a joke. They arrested him. DK Benjamin, thank you very much for the super chat. DK Benjamin, thank you very much. So, like what I said, in this case, this guy, honestly, if you remember the man I'm talking about, I once posted his video, but his name escapes me. I wanted actually to bring him. So if anybody can remember his name, from Edo State, came down from the Netherlands, had a farm, and herders or killer herders went to his farm, invaded his farm, and his farm, to destroy. Somebody said, I have never heard of Yoruba or Igbo headsman. What do you call a man who has heads of cow? What are you talking about? We have thousands of headsmen in an Igbo. Our forefathers had heads of cows and sheep. So, but what they are not criminal headsmen. But we have headsmen in an Igbo, in the Yoruba nation. Obviously, one thing some of us don't actually know. I've said this here, but some of you, sometimes we don't think deep. We only get into emotional. If you come to my state of Anambra, you want to buy cow, I tell you that 90% of those that deal in cows are not Northerners. They are not outsiders. They are from Anambra. They are from maybe Amobia, Oga, what's it called? These are people, Ekulobia, I know. I mean, we know some of them in Ekulobia. They import cows and, they don't have ranch. But what happens is most times, if they get these cows cheaper around October, and they're hoping to mark up their profit by December, and within that 2 months, of course, these cows move around. So, but that is not, the issue here is, yes, these cows may move around. You might see them on the road in Anambra, in your city, maybe during the Christmas period. These are owned by your own people. We know their owners. They are owned. These are not the issue. We are talking about the cows that comes in hundreds and invades the forest and eat up what our mothers and our sisters have planted. If this is not checked, this is going to get to a point where people will be suffering enough that we might even get to a point of having famine in the land. And you can see the crisis that it's creating now, that people are beginning to take laws into their hands. The laws that people are taking into their hands is needless. If the government had, from the onset, done what they ought to do, again, I lay the blame squarely on the foot of government, because government has failed, and they have failed abysmally in addressing the issue of herdsmen. Government has failed abysmally in addressing the issue of herdsmen. Now, that is on that one. Now, on the other hand, I mentioned about Lekki Tollgate, and you see, as long as there is injustice happening, we must keep talking. People like me, as long as there is injustice, cannot keep quiet, because here on this platform, I speak up against anyone who is being oppressed. Now we look at what has happened in the Lekki Tollgate. The army started by telling us, oh, we never visited Lekki Tollgate. Suddenly it changed. Oh, yes, we visited. Oh, we fired, but we fired blank ammunition. He moved from firing blank ammunition, saying, no, when they charged us, we retaliated. When they shot at us, we retaliated. Suddenly changed. Oh, we fired up. I said, these people, everyone at the Tollgate is from Benin. They're all flying. They are, Benin. Don't take offense now. I need to crack joke. My Benin friends and brothers. I normally tell people, why the Benin airport is not functioning properly is because everybody has a landing pad, probably in their bedroom or their backyard. I mean, that's a joke. Don't take that. So I was just making joke that at the Lekki, when the army said they fired at, they were firing in the air, and suddenly the bullet hit some people. I said, maybe these people were coming back from meeting. They were coming back and they were all flying. So that was how the bullets hit some of them. Okay, so that's on that one. But I have this clip where, you know, this guy basically explained what is happening in a very, you know, fantastic way that it's very easy for everybody to understand. Have a listen.
People died. Whether it was one, whether it was two, we have a duty to establish that. At the end of the day, the Nigerian army acted in that place, and it has refused to submit to the jurisdiction of the same panel that is now ordering that toll gate be reopened. So at the end of the day, what justice has been given to the victims, whether the dead or the injured or those who are merely traumatized emotionally by their presence there, what has been done for them?
Okay, so let me come in on that question. Let me seem to be answering it. With reference to the ruling by the Supreme Court or the Federal High Court in Abuja that the CBN unfreeze the accounts of the NSAS protesters, would that not seem to be at least a step in the right direction?
See, if an act was never meant to have been done in the first place, and it was done, when it is undone, yeah, we acknowledge the fact that a wrong deed has been undone, but it does not change the fact that it was never meant to have been done in the first place. It is dirty to the hearing that in a democracy, patently fascist tactics are constantly employed by the state in seeking to put down the grievances of the people. I was trying to make a point, and it is important that this point be made. Every time there has been an attempt at protesting at Lekki toll gate, there has always been organized resistance by the state, combining the use of thugs and the Nigerian police to break those protests. The first time that it came to national attention was merely the 20th of October because the army was involved this time around. This one, that a protest has again been called for Saturday and there are threats of violence, note that the threats of violence have come exclusively from those who are organizing the counter-protest. I say without equivocation, the counter-protest has all the fingerprints of the Lagos state government, and we believe that if anything should happen to a single person in that place, we know who to face. Babajide.
Oh, I like him very much, you know. Like him very much. Many of you wouldn't believe that he is actually a lawyer. He says it the way it is, you know, without mincing words. And someone said, let me take some comment before I move on. Someone, you know, it's Friday evening, unless some of you who want to go to the beer parlor, but you can go to the beer parlor and still listen to Mazes while you're going there. Just make sure you put on your headphone and make sure you stay safe and have your face mask. Somebody said, Roslyn Uguru said, my brother, the ban is on everyone now, no exception. Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, herdsmen. I think I agree with you. Thank you for that comment. I agree with you. The ban is on everyone. When we say no movement of cow, it doesn't matter if that cow is owned by my junior brother, my elder brother, my distant cousin. Ban is ban. Total ban. You know, listen, all lizards are lying low. So we don't know the one that has a tummy ache. We don't want, again, it's very easy. People are saying, huh? Oh, Mike Prince says, okay, you and this political correctness, you don't like to call a spade a spade. Anambra people send you tomorrow, you will be like those. Okay. You see, people, one thing, I think one of the reasons I take this, I need to address this. Listen, on this platform, there is what they call community guidelines. Okay, so you might not want me to be, or rather you want me to call people names, shout, insult. I won't. You know why I won't do that? Because a couple of years back, my channel was flagged for violating the community guidelines. I mean, you learn. And these are things where Njenje Media is a registered company, is an entity, and it's a company that can be sued. And, you know, And having said that, in communication, you can, in the act of conversation, you converse, you communicate to impact, not just to make someone feel just happy. No, you communicate. We can disagree, but equally, let's disagree, respectfully, without really, cussing out on each other. Okay, so I don't understand, when you say political correctness in the sense that the truth is being said, but probably you want me, because you have a kind of preconceived way or notion, how you think that, and I must say it that way. No, you have the right to say it your own way, and I have the right to put it in. Again, this channel is being watched internationally, mostly by those in the diaspora. I see the back end. I see the countries, USA, UK, Australia, Singapore, Nigeria. So again, if you look at their demography, look at their ethnic, or what I call nationalities, not only Nigerians. So we have to be very careful here. As now we are across all the social media platforms, over 1,000 people watching. Do you know what it means? Together, and that's why I do not take I do not take your loyalty to this channel for granted. Because if you look to gather 1,000 people in a church, most cathedrals can't even get 1,000 people, can't even get in there. But here we are, over 1,000 people listening to this conversation, and we are chatting. I'm reading your comments. We are interacting. It's more than a cathedral. Therefore, the choice of words must reflect who we are. The choice of words must reflect that society that we want to get to. Many of us, we want to have a nation of our own. Is this how, by insulting each other, how we're going to get it? But let us, as I keep telling us, from the smell of the fat, you have an idea how the cocoa will taste. I'm just trying to make it look nice. So on that note, again, it's DK Benjamin says, Mazi, I know you secretly endorses MNK and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It's okay, we understand. He says it's a secret endorsement. What do you mean secret endorsement? In 2008, on my own with my organization, we called for his release when the court granted him bail, and no one actually listened. And in 2006, we went to court, even to the point, Federal High Court, even to point of getting to the ICC on his own case, because it's a case of injustice at that point. So people, this, no one is fighting. Listen, in Igbo, we say, we have this, all of us, north, south, west, east, everybody wants the same thing, that we want a better life. Where we might disagree is in the vehicle of conveying. Some people might want to take keke. Some people say, no, I want to take G-Guard. Some say, I want to take Rolls Royce. Some say, no, it must be tuke, or it must be what we called then in the 90s. We called them 1414. When we used to go to Adamawa then, under the, when Lagos, I think that was Mawa, Buba Mawa was the governor of Lagos State. Under Abacha, they had a coaster called 1414, produced then in Emene, in Enugu, by Mercedes. So if people could choose any means, but the end thing is, you are not crashing on the road. You are not cursing at each other on the road, because you are all victims. We are all victims. You and I, the reason you are spending your time, your data, watching me talk about these things is because we are being oppressed in Nigeria. Nigeria is the common denominator, because Nigeria is not working, right? That's why we are having this conversation. Okay. So again, Chimobi Owadiegu says, proceed, you're on track. Deliberating issues on this magnitude oftentimes should not be emotional. All we know, the cocoa. No, we all know the cocoa. Chimobi, I agree with you. You see, and again, I think I've made videos where I've begged my people. I want us to think more strategic. Thinking strategic is not a sign of weakness. Thinking strategic, but the good thing is that I'm glad that what many people don't even know that happened behind the scene. You know, I'll leave it at that. A lot happens behind the scenes, and conversations happen. That the whole thing is until we know that we have common enemy. BU Yoruba, Bini, Hausa, Bibio, Kenuri, we have one common enemy. The Tiffin elites, the plutocrats, those who have sworn that only their houses will be nice. The places you will live will not be nice. See, you hear them say affordable housing, low-cost housing. Why are they not living in the low-cost houses? What is good for the goat is also good for the sheep. So until we get to a point where we will start making, holding them to account, that we will all begin to demand for one thing. Look at the thing that is going to happen tomorrow, Lekki. And the minister, everyone is saying that the Lekki protest is illegal. People are asking, you have not punished those that killed people at Lekki, and you're reopening the toll gate to take tolls. I didn't want to say this. 2 weeks ago, she might be watching. I went to Lagos for the first time after 8 years on my decision. But because, obviously, I needed to see the individual, one of the people that took part in the Lekki, I went to Lagos. I went to Lekki, and I sat down with this girl. Jesus. The only thing is that I promised her that conversation was not going to be recorded and that conversation will not be aired. But I listened to her. She was in that Lekki that night. I listened to her and I listened to her testimony. Now, that thing happened about 3 months ago. I met her 2 weeks ago. Until the time she was speaking to me last day of January 2021, she still has trauma of what she encountered that night. And these are issues that has not been dealt with. And people are already moved on. We are talking about reopening the toll gate. These are issues that have not been dealt with. Sometimes, you see, make this struggle we are in. I beg my brothers, this struggle is not about Ndibo. My Yoruba brothers and friends, it's not about the Yorubas. The Hausas that many said have been conquered, the struggle is not about the Hausas. Neither is it about the Mumuyes. It's not about the Kanuris. It's not about the Ijos. But it is about our collective humanity. We are Black people. We are the people of the North. So this is something that is about us, the way we have been maltreated by our leaders. Those that when we got independence, they had a functional public system. They had functional toilets. Those that had functional water sewage system. Yet, what do we have? Every one of them all went to public school. If you read them, federal government college this, federal government college that, federal university this, federal university that, today, no one. It's either they take their kids to abroad or they only live their kids in private universities? Where are our own children? Where are they? We have a common enemy, the oppressors. Those that make it impossible that the road from Enugu to Wokari is a death trap. Now, the Enugu section is not good. The Benue section, Otoa, that is the worst I have seen in my life. The section to Taraba, Jesus Christ, you think you're not in Nigeria. I drove on the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway. I thought that was bad. If you drive on this one, you know you have an expressway on the other side. So the misgovernance is legendary and it's across board. The misgovernance is a collective fight to liberate ourselves from this bondage, from these men who see nothing, glutinous men who only see themselves. Me, see them fat. Everybody, tummy, all pregnant. Very, very just... DK Benjamin says, trauma tend to have a long longevity. My dad still have trauma from Biafran War and he's 88 to 90 years old. He doesn't like anything that reminds him of that war, of course. Like I said, the lady I met that, suffered from the Lekki, the trauma and the things she explained to me, it's unbelievable. And when I listen to such stories, someone now comes on and says, Maz, why are you talking about Lagos? Why are you talking about what happens in Lagos? They'll say, well, are you normal? Macaroni will say, are you all right? Are you normal? Why won't you? In Lagos, in Lekki, Yorubas were hot. Igbos were hot. Ibibios were shot. Ikweres, Northerners. Now, our collective humanity would demand collective punishment for those. Listen, I care less if the soldier that fired the shot that night is from my kinsman. I bloody care less. That individual needs to be punished. That's all. That's all we demand for. I care less who was shot. It doesn't even need to be a Nigerian. But we are human. Where's our humanity gone to, people? Where's our humanity? So these are the things. Nememu says, thank you, Maz. Okay, may God slap. Please, I know. Never say, may God slap me. Wallahi, you know how big God is. If God slap me, I fit no here. But if God, if you want to slap me with pounds and dollars this year. Wallahi, just slap me. Anyhow, I go to do giveaway here. I'm not going to ask people to do support the channel. Chibo Ebere says, true journalism is the ability to speak out without fear or favor. Please, Maz, do not relent in speaking out. If the issue is Fulani, Igbo, Hausa, or Yoruba, say it the way it is. Thank you very much. And that's, that's my job. I listen, I mimic no one. I create the content. I speak. Listen, I don't know if you people have noticed. I speak out of heart. I come here. I look at these issues, having read, maybe commentaries, what people think, but I still think, because it's about us, we must speak up against evil. It's only when, someone said, when someone is being oppressed, he's actually not bothered about the person oppressing him. He's bothered more about the person that saw the oppression and kept quiet. That is what the issue is. Hence, the root of this conversation this evening is the false narrative, which I had to intervene, as in the case of NSAS, that, oh, it was the Igbos that burnt the Oba's house. It was no. That was a false narrative. It was never. It was never. It was that the people of Nigeria said enough is enough for once. Sadly, properties were destroyed. That's what happens in some, in some of these things. That's what it is. So now on this video, I told us, listen to this conversation between AIT, State of the Nation, and Lai Mohammed, the Minister, the Minister of Information. Enjoy and listen to what Lai Mohammed said here. Let me quickly see if I can play this clip.
The question to you, Honorable Minister, is what is happening in terms of the armed bandits and the activities in the northwest part of that has completely distorted the socio-economic life of most people and threatened the national security of Nigeria? Does it not qualify for these persons to also be declared as terrorist organization or be proscribed? Because you may say we don't know them by name, but the state governors in this region are engaging these people on a daily basis, granting them amnesty, taking pictures with them.
You see, this, what I'm going to say will not be popular, but it's the truth. When a group is championing a cause for the disintegration of Nigeria, a group like IPOB does not even recognize Nigeria as a state, sets up its own army, and says it is a sovereign state. It's different from bandits and criminals. Please, don't compare apples with oranges.
But are they not threatening the sovereignty of Nigeria by taking arms against citizens of Nigerian state?
Security challenges is one thing. Challenging the very sovereignty of Nigeria is a completely different thing. Please, don't let's, don't let us dwell on what I call semantics. Yes, it's not like saying armed robbers. Armed robbers, don't they threaten security of life and property? They do. Is that why is there anywhere in the world that armed robbers have been prescribed?
No, let's calm down. These are you classifying these persons as ordinary armed robbers?
Oh, they might be super armed robbers, but what do? They take what does not belong to them. They kill people in the process. I'm just using a very big example.
Okay. Let me use his logic and drive this point home. When we had Boko Haram, before Boko Haram was proscribed, what were they doing? Boko Haram were criminal gangs, throwing bombs right, left, and center, abducting men. Boko Haram was never saying they wanted to secede from Nigeria, so we get it right. Now, according to, if you have your phone there, if you're on a computer, you can type in 2020 terror index. You look down the index, you will see one they call the Fulani Herdsmen. Now, these are top terror groups in the world. I am not aware that the Fulani Herdsmen has it in their manifesto that they want to secede from Nigeria. Neither am I aware that the Boko Haram, that is the Boko Haram, Boko Haram, when we say Boko Haram, people don't know, they think Fulanis are Boko Haram. No, Boko Haram are actually Kanuris from the northeast. The same people that were behind the Matasina from 1982, 83, 84, I think. So these are northeast. Now, when you understand this, you juxtapose it with the arguments of the Minister of Information, and I will say, wow, this is what we call GS 101. In your first year, in your university days, You do general studies irrespective of what you do, so that those science students that only knows biology and chemistry, chemical reactions and square roots, so that they don't necessarily sometimes forget their name or even forget their country of origin. So they do what we call the NGS, or rather, someone said Chimareze GST 101. See, Chimareze, maybe you're a newer generation. When we in our own time, it was called GS 101. So as part of GS 101 here, I think it's a little bit disingenuous for the Minister of Information to say that why can't we, because the question is why can't we ban these people if they are. It goes back to what I said before. If we are sincere and we want to solve this problem, part of the solution will be extract the intel, extract your people, deal with the remnant of the exhibit. If you extract your people from the forest, the remnants are things or people you can deal with. Because if you say, I give you 1 month ultimatum to vacate and come back to Yobe, Kanu, Kaduna, wherever that might be, if you are not able to come, and even we can grant amnesty, say, okay, let's granted you are from, there is a reason they carry this small transistor radio. There is a reason, no, because that is a means of communication. The other day, I made an analogy. I said, some of you that think, oh, every time you people, you talk too much, you come online, you're talking. I said, listen, this is our own transistor radio. Because what you don't know is every time you see someone is having this transistor radio, is listening, somebody is talking somewhere. Someone is talking somewhere. He is the one that buys the battery to power the transistor radio. And he's listening to instructions. He's listening to explanations that someone is sitting down somewhere broadcasting. Now, why don't we, when you say your people go home, you have remnant, you can give them a camp to stay, grant them amnesty, find a way to push them, transport them and their cow back to base, or stay here. Why haven't we even thought about chipping cows? It costs less than $5 to insert chips on these cows, just minor like grain of rice. It has biodata of that cow. If someone kidnaps this cow, you can track that cow. So why is it that we're not trying to, and these are things that are very cheap to do. We are, if I know that this cow is going to be sold 200,000 and the government is expecting 7.5% of whatever the value is, if it's going to sell 200,000 and I know that from baby cow, from calf to when the cow is sold, that I have spent 70,000 feeding that cow, labor, let's say 40,000, that's 100 and let's for argument's sake 120,000, right? So then I'm going to pay tax on the difference, which is 80,000. So pay me 7% of, or 7.5% of the 80,000. This is a way we should be thinking to generate income. But that is, by the way, let me come back to the Minister of Information on what he's saying, why these people should now be proscribed.
Listen, let's get my argument clear. IPOP was not proscribed just because of the violence. IPOP was proscribed because IPOP as a group refuses to recognize the sovereignty of Nigeria as a country.
Which one is the biggest threat, sir? A threat of somebody who challenges the sovereignty of the country, or the threat of somebody who carries sophisticated weapons, challenging security operatives in a country?
You see, it's very simple. When a person carries, sophisticated weapon, it's just a criminal. And there are ways the security forces will deal with him. Like I kept telling you, We've had many, hundreds of terrorists who have been neutralized. But when a group says, we are not Nigerians, we'll set up our own government, we'll set up our own foreign relations, then that group is threatening the very existence, the sovereignty of the country. And I say there are two different issues, and please don't confuse them. We have security challenges, but to compare, and even up.
You see why things don't work? Because we have the wrong mindset, which he has clearly explained. Marriage that started with a lie. We have the 1999 Constitution that say, we the people of Nigeria, blah, blah, blah. I don't know any of your rep. We heard from the former Ohanese president, who was a minister of information during Abu Salam, is saying that, I mean, according to him, that is the person of Chief John Onyanwodo, that Obasanjo was sworn in. At the point of swearing him in, no one saw the Constitution. It was hidden. Until Obasanjo, after the swearing in, a couple of days later, before the Constitution was cited. You have a flawed and what some people refer to as a fraudulent constitution. That no one sat together to agree on its terms. And people are saying they do not want to live together under this constitution. The mindset displayed by, with all due respect, Mr. Lai Mohammed, is the problem with the Nigerian Federation. A federation that does not give room for conversation. That's why I tell people, you might disagree with me, you might disagree with my choice of word, not insulting people, not shouting. Sorry, I am disappointing you on that. But one thing you can take away from me and from this platform is that we give room for conversation. Let us iron things out. We must not shout at each other. Has been canvassed and has been said many times, IPOB did not start in 2015 when Buhari took over, right? IPOB didn't start then, neither did Radio Biafra start then. When Buhari took over, he was given less than maybe around 5-6% in the 2015 presidential election. For any man who wanted peace and who wanted others to feel part of what was to come, aka change, he would have reached out. If I'm to be a Fulani man and the president of Nigeria, when IPOB started what they were doing in 2003, actually, 2004, and eventually the 2014 national confab, happened. If I were to be IPOB, or rather a president of a Fulani extraction, I would have invited IPOB and its leaders for a conversation. Bear in mind, at this point in question, Nnamdi Kanu was only the director of Radio Biafra. You had the customary government of Biafra led by late Dr. Ikedife, the one whom Innocent named Ikenga IVM after. Had they done consultation and engagement as of 2015, to the point that Ikedife's son, I think, even went to APC. Ikedife himself, I think at that point, even was part of APC. I'm not sure, but I know of his son. If we are a nation that engage in conversation, we will not be where we are today. I mean, this topic I'm addressing now is a topic many people shy away from, but at some point we need to say the truth. If the nation, if the leaders, if the looters, if the politicians, if the plutocrats, if the destroyers that destroy this nation called Nigeria draws its people apart by their actions, if they had wanted genuine conversation to resolve issues, they would have reached out. But sadly, we've seen where the whole distant, treating people with dislike, we've seen where it has led us. We've seen. It's a sad one. You know, sometimes when I look at it, it's a sad one. Well, let's finish listening to him. It's indeed a sad one.
IPOB will be very upset that you are comparing them with terrorists and with the bandits and herdsmen.
Let's calm down.
Anyway, somebody said, let us see your face. Remove Lima. Oh dear. I hope you can see my face now. You say you want to see my face, I should remove Lai Mohammed. Okay, I've removed him. For those of you that might want to make some contribution, I think I have. On this note, I don't want to drag this broadcast now. I would come to the end of this conversation, and it's time to take your calls. You can now call me, and if you want to make your contribution, but please do not make it too long. I'm actually a little bit tired now, but let's get it going, people. So like the video, share the video. For those of you who have not subscribed to the, I look at this channel, believe I look at the back end, I see 64.7% of you watching now have not subscribed, but you keep coming back and watching. What? Just click that button. It's for free. Oh, it's for free. If you like this Njenje Media t-shirt, very soon we will be giving it out. So for subscribers, for new subscribers. So those of you who want to make contributions, you can make contributions. Okay, I have my first caller here. Let me take this call. Oh, hold on. I think it's gone to my earpiece. Okay, who am I speaking to?
Massey, this is Peter from Florida.
Okay, good day, my friend from Florida. How are you?
Good. I just came online and saw your program.
You caught me. I've finished the Christmas period. I've done, I enjoyed myself. You can see when I posted my hidden talent from Ogene to Atielog.
Yes. Yeah, I saw your talent. So I guess you just need to go to the studio and just wax us some music.
I can't do everything at once, but sometimes when I tell people that in the year 14th February 1994 that I actually played with Osadebe, I wouldn't believe that, but that's a long time anyway, but it's what it is. Yeah. So your contribution, thank you very much.
Okay, so I watched the interview on AIT with Lai Mohammed. I mean, just with his name only, it tells you all you need to know. He lies all the time. So we all know that.
Oh dear.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I hope you're not calling our. I hope you're not calling our minister a liar, please.
Well, I mean, from his name and his utterances, like what else can I conclude? So the whole point is, I'm very kudos to the guy in the studio. I think I know him. What's his name? Tipe or whatever his name is on AIT. Because I mean, I've felt like Nigerian journalists are not very courageous. But that was a very particularly good interview. You should. That's what I expect from this the Nigerian journalists. You have to put this guy's feet to the fire. But it doesn't make sense that you proscribe IPOB that doesn't carry gun. They're just agitating to have a referendum, whereas you have people coming from Mali, from Senegal, from Gambia, coming to kill your citizens, and you feel like those people are not terrorists. So how do you define a terrorist? So, I mean, it's just a contradiction, what we're having in the country called Nigeria. And, people in power, they are very disingenuous. They're very, they have this whole complex about, whenever Igbos do something, like they amplify it to the 10th power. But when other ethnicities are doing something, they try to minimize it. And I mean, it's killing everyone. So the whole point is I spoke to you last week or last 2 weeks. I said, Nigeria is unraveling. Every part of the country is rising up to see what people have been saying since. You either go to the table to renegotiate this country and have an exit clause. So that people that are tired of this country, each group that is tired of the country can exit. So those ones that want to be in the same country can come together and ask themselves, what kind of country do we want to build for ourselves? So
you're basically re-echoing the final part of the communique of the Zoom I had, the Zoom that was pioneered by Njenje Media TV, which I gracefully moderated, that had eminent Nigerians and that came together to discuss last week. That's a week today. That's the only reason why I didn't have my hangout, because that actually replaced my Friday hangouts. So obviously the part of the communique read that the people must come together to take down the constitution. And when a new constitution is enacted, that there must be an exit clause in that.
Yeah.
And we know, Ethiopia has exit clause in that constitution, but it has not been, because it somehow creates in checks and balances. Because it's not when you say, I want to go, you just go. No, you say, I won't go. Somebody say, okay, why I won't go? And assuming you say you won't go, and I say I no won't go. Because listen, you might be surprised that you say the Southeast, okay, we want a referendum. You go on referendum. If you need 75% to win that referendum, you go on referendum, you probably won't even get to 60%, because you have a lot of millions of your people outside the Southeast that might actually say, no, we want a renegotiated arrangement as opposed to total, balkanization. So, and again, because you are Democrats, you cannot go against the people. But the challenge you have is that you have not even agreed.
People try to demonize the guy, but he's always saying, we need a referendum for people to decide if they want to be part of the country or not. So, I mean, I understand people are very uneasy about him and in Biafra. Nobody is calling for war, because war, everyone dies. Most people die on both sides. So, but the whole point is the country has to go to the negotiating table so that, the union has to be renegotiated, and then the people will have to go to a referendum. So whatever is negotiated at the center, in terms of constitution and whatever, we have to send it back to each region, each ethnic group, to make sure they want to be part of the union. If not, they can leave. So yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, my brother. Thank you for your call. And on that note, I would thank Kenry Bar just did a super chat. Thanks very much, Kenry. Thank you very much for that contribution. So people, obviously, I would take not more than 2 calls, and I will call it a day. Who am I speaking to? You're speaking to Mazes, okay. You're live on the TV. Good evening. Good evening. You're live on the TV. I greet you too. Okay, Stephen. Good evening, Stephen.
I want to say a very big thank you for all that you have been doing to the media. You have a very good job, and I pray that God will bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, concerning this herdsmen and so on, one thing we fail to understand is that the people in charge, those who own the cows, they know what they are doing because they don't want to stop it. Because this not just carrying the cow about is their mission, but they have the hidden agenda, which everybody knows about, is grabbing the land.
Yeah, beyond that, are you aware that in our stupidity, we destroy business? You know that people become billionaires from growing grasses for the cow. You know that? Hello?
Exactly.
So people become billionaires from growing grasses that the cows will eat.
Yes.
So, and the reason why they do that is because if they take these cows, is almost at no cost to them. Because the way it works is, I give you like 100 cows. If I give you 100 cows, you take one. If they have children, if they born new babies, 10, you take another one. Each 10, you take one. So obviously, sometimes the truth here is that sometimes, aside the killer, aside the terrorists, aside the bandits that get involved in the herdsmen business, the real headers, we should actually pity them, because these are the lowest in the caste system. They are not being treated right, and that's why when they get into this crime, like El-Rufai said, which for the first time he made serious sense, to stop this activity is going to be very, very hard, especially for those that have involved themselves in criminal activities. He said, if somebody kidnaps and makes million in a couple of days, how do you think that person will go back to rearing that cow for you to make 100,000 in 1 year? Think about it. It's become a real issue, whereby the only way we can stop this is through an organized and systematic way, where everybody will need to ban open grazing. You go back to ranch. When a governor tells you that the forest is no one owns the forest, tell him that I said that Mazes said he's talking absolute rubbish. He's just talking around nonsense. We own the bushes. In our neck of wood, no land is free. Every land is occupied. So if you want land, come and buy land. What are we talking? Yeah? People are coming and living in communities, and you go and live in the bush.
Exactly.
Anyway, thank you very much for your call. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you, my brother.
My brother, well, it's really unfortunate, because if our government could come out like, okay, my dear, okay, thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. Mazes speaking. Okay.
I like that. That well,
so sorry, can you repeat your name again? I think there was a network issue there.
That a civilized way of engaging instead of importing people. However,
sorry, can I have your name again?
The political class in Nigeria, like you call them plutocrats, they are very. My name is Bennett.
Go ahead. I think you're listening to me. You are not listening to the conversation. You're listening to whatever is playing. Can you put off whatever you're listening?
My name is Bennett Mazi. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you kindly put off whatever any device you use in watching me? Put it off, please.
Yes, my TV is down.
Okay, put it off. Then go ahead now.
It's on me. I'm speaking from my phone now.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Now, what I'm trying to say is that the political class, they are the one common enemy of the people. It's not an issue because the Alaye in Lagos, the Agboro in eastern Nigeria, and Almajiri in the north, they all come under the same one umbrella of marginalization. And the only thing that I have problem with the Nigerian country, because Nigeria is not a nation, I see it as a country made of so many nations, is that the people who have chosen to kill as a way of life are not being punished for being evil. Instead, they go ahead to prescribe people who are doing peaceful demonstrations. That's absolutely wrong. Nobody, when the people are arrested, the next moment when we hear in the news, I'm calling from the UK anyway, the next thing you hear from the news is that they've been released or they are no more in prison and stuff like that. And we cannot say there is one person that has been convicted and imprisoned or punished for doing what is wrong. Like you said earlier, some governors negotiate with criminals, so they know people know them. Why don't you apprehend them? Try them in the proper courts and put them in prison as a deterrent for others. So I see it as a deliberate agenda on some sections of the country to use violence, intimidation, and harassment to subdue others, when they should know that nobody has monopoly of violence. That's an extent to push something. You push even the quiet person into violence. That's my own submission.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, your kind submission. Thank you. I hope you've subscribed to the channel and you are a participant of this movement. Thank you very much for once more. Thank you.
Yeah.
So people, on that note, I think it has been an excellent conversation for the last 2 hours with you as usual. I fulfilled my part. What I think I leave us with the following. Those who are insinuating that the Fulanis are being told to vacate the east, the south, and the middle belt are not being honest. They're not saying it the way it is. The Fulanis are not being asked to leave. However, bandits, criminals, and killer herdsmen that have overrun the bushes of the southwest, the southeast, the south-south, and the middle belt are being told to go home, to leave, because the people are beginning to take laws into their hands because of the failure of government. Had the federal government and its security agencies done the needful, the things that they are statutory there to do, I do not believe for 1 second that we should be in this mess. Again, I repeat, I put the blame squarely, 1, on the insincerity of government, 2, and the lack of proactiveness from the government, and lastly, that summarizes it all, either by, as the words of T.Y. Danjuma, by collusion, or that the government is totally incompetent. On that note, I say, have a wonderful evening. I remain Mazi Ezoke. Good evening.